welcome back to the rest of the story. I'm up at a local red dealership, and seems so I haven't really ever walked around a case tractor around on the channel yet. I figured I'd at least do a little walk around on one. Now this is a used 180 Magnum. Duals on the rear, axle mounts. It's got def, which I haven't had to deal with def a whole lot. I do know that it's a hassle. Even with that New Holland that we used, we went through, what, 2 tanks? I think that sounds about right. We went through about 2 tanks of def in the time that we've had that we ran that machine. But slightly built a little bit differently than like our 8235. The arms, they almost look a little lighter to me. Between the cast and everything, I mean, you gotta discredit the leaves because it is officially fall and the trees behind me have about half their leaves gone already. My biggest issue with these machines, well, subtle issue with these machines, is that like the rims, you can always expect to see the rims are starting to chip out, like the silver. This one is on the other side. It's a minor factor, but it's just something that's kind of irritating. They do have ease of access for the grease zerks. They have a little line here running to it, so at least you can grease it a little bit more conveniently compared to ours. Like on our 8235, it is a little bit of a hassle. You have to climb in around on the front end, which, let's go over and look. We have to crawl in around on the front end to get to all the grease zerks, and to be honest, this one really isn't much better because it is narrowed up. Just by looking at it, it's set up for 30-inch rows, and you just have to get a little bit dirty to get everything greased properly. I don't know, to me, it just doesn't seem like they're built overly heavily on the front end as far as how much iron is there. This is a 185. Wow. So we got a 185 CVT Puma def. I don't know the years on these. Well, that was the last time it's had a filter change. 12/7/16. Whoever was running it had some dirty, well, not necessarily dirty fuel, but it had something get in even when they're filling it. So that's something you got to watch out for. All these are shut and locked, so I really can't get up and look at the cabs. But they do have their standard chrome control handle. That right there, that handle, even with the New Holland, this machine has it too. That is one thing that I really feel Deere could really improve on, is getting all their controls centered on one control handle. I mean, like the 8235, that really doesn't bother me too much how it's set up, but even running that New Holland, having the hydraulics and everything just right at your thumb was really nice. You know, spiders are out. Really, all for 2,100 hours, yeah, it really shouldn't have a whole lot of wear in the drawbar. This would really qualify for the smaller tractor, higher horsepower deal. Like you've heard me talk about, like a 7530. This would be awfully close to me, comparable to a 7530. And I'd probably go without the duals, because something like that, if I get another like Roadrunner, like the 7600, I probably wouldn't be too interested in going with something with duals. Well, granted, we'd probably end up using it for like a planter tractor, so maybe we would use it for dual, would be able to use duals on it for all I know. One thing I'm really noticeable on like the case tractors too is that like all the glass around the cab, It does have more of like a bubble out to it. A little bit more than the 82. The 82 does have a little bit of the glass has more of a curve to it. More than the 82, but like I said, that's more of a preference thing. So everybody's probably thinking I should be looking at this loader tractor over here on the end, which is, I don't even know what the number is on it. Oh, 7410. Thing is, I'm feeling pretty sure that it probably doesn't have just 2,800 hours on it. It looks like it's got significantly more than that. I'm not sure where the rust spot is coming from here. We ran ours on the road a lot in the winter, going and feeding cattle. So the problem we had is, by the time we got done with it, we had a nice line of rust all the way through here. That of which my 7600 is really starting to show on too. But I'd really, as far as any loader tractor, before I'd consider buying something that's been a loader tractor for somebody else, I would pretty well pick it apart and make sure that it doesn't have an underlying bug or ghost or demon or gremlin in it that is waiting to kick you in the butt. Now this does have the small 1000 PTO shaft in it. It does have a snap ring on it. I'm not familiar with these machines. I'm sure some of my viewers are. Can tell me what's it for. If you can switch these out to like a 540, that's one thing that really we kind of shot ourselves with the 82 on. The 82, there is an option where you could switch it out, the PTO shaft out, and be able to run a 540 or a small 1000 in it. The problem is the 82, whoever got it before us had it spec'd out that you couldn't, because it's supposed to be able to bolt it on over top of the large 1000 shaft on the 82. I'm trying to remember now because it's been a couple years, but that would have been really handy if we could have done that. And it looks to me like that's what this machine does. Has, because that's where we were kind of hurt with the Rhino cutter. The Rhino cutter was a 540, and the only two tractors we have in the farm that will run 540 are the 7600 and the 4020. Now the 4020 can handle it all right. I mean, it can run the machine. I believe I even did a video on it. But the problem is that it doesn't really have the weight. You start getting in some of our hills that it would start to push the back end of that 4020 around, because it doesn't have any rear end weight. So when in the end you're limited to just one machine that can run a 540, that 7600. And if that 76 is busy, you're kind of limited. Now if we could be able to run the 82, the 46, the 76 on it, and even the 4020, because we can switch that 4020 out to 1000 PTO shaft too, gives you a lot more flexibility, and you're not exactly sitting on your hands when you could be doing something just because a tractor is being taken up. So everybody wonders why we don't look at Case. Grandpa had them on the farm. I never grew up with them. I think my grandpa grew up with Case International, or just International. I mean, between the companies merging and everything over the years, I can't keep track. But Grandpa got away from Red and went to John Deere because John Deere had a full line of equipment at the time. That was a big push why Grandpa went to John Deere. Now it is expensive, and I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you prices on any of this equipment through here, because I don't know what Red equipment is running. Somebody commented a couple days ago that Case quad track is about 100 grand less than a Deere quad track. I wouldn't doubt it, but as far as us, a Deere quad track isn't in the cards probably ever. So something I wish all of our machinery had though was the PTO button on the back here. So when you're going to hook something up and you can't exactly turn the PTO shaft on the tool or implement that you're trying to hook up to, you can use this to bump the PTO, and allows you to hook it up a little bit easier. I could talk about McCormick a little bit. The only thing I can tell you about McCormick is that they're not very common around here. At least I'm not sure who all runs them. The machine does look practically new, if not very lightly used. At least I've never really looked in these. Whoa. Yeah, see, I'm not entirely sure how the whole arm thing works or the hand control. Well, the throttle is separate from that handlebar, so it looks like that's stationary just with all your controls on it. Looks really simple, probably easy to run, but I don't know. You get in anything, run it for 10 minutes, you can pretty well get the gist of how everything works. But I have to go home and do chores. I just thought you guys would like a little bit of an overview on some different colored machinery on the farm. Well, I don't really think a red machine is going to happen anytime soon, but I guess this is about as close as you guys are going to get. So, until next time, talk to you later.